Holy, you have got to be f***ing kidding me. Hey, how you doing, YouTube? Chico Pal Capone here, and today we're getting that second tie rod done. You know, before the whole story where I traded my Volvo and I got the passenger side inner tie rod replaced, but never got the chance to actually get the driver's side one done, because that one, it was well, let's just say there was a bit of a problem with him. He didn't want to cooperate. Shoot him in the fucking nut! Shoot him in the nut! But yeah, see, I got my new one right here. It's nice and pretty and all oiled up. And yeah, I'm gonna go at it, fix it up, change it up, and I got the right tool now, so I guess we'll see how it goes, eh? Alright, so basically, not basically, what the f am I saying? I'm going at it again. Next thing you know, this whole video is going to be spammed out with basicallys again, just like last time, huh? Well, we're going to try not to do that this time. Anyway, you want to get a ratchet wrench with a 19mm on it, so that you can undo this bolt first. Get your outer tie rod disconnected from the wheel hub. And from there, well, we'll just have to wait and see, huh? So that's that. Get that nut off at that one, right there. Then you can pop this down and out. And you can pop that nut back on that guy. And the next part, as you can see, this moves around real easy. Like real easy. A little too easy, if you know what I mean, huh? Well, anyway. There's a nut in the back here, the counter nut, that you're gonna wanna undo, and I'll get back to you right after I finish doing that. So I just spent the last 10 minutes looking for this stupid adjustable wrench, because everything down in the basement is getting moved around and nobody knows where the anything is anymore, because everything goes the next day, from the next day to the next day, from one spot to another to another to another, and you just can't find out where anything is anymore. But yeah, so I got my tool. Let's do this. Let's kick this pig. Now the thing, I made a big mistake, huh? Well, not a big mistake, but I just I made a boo-boo, huh?
Yeah, listen. We fucked up. Just kidding.
Okay. So instead of disconnecting this all the way, because of that counter nut, you're going to want to pop your outer tie rod back into the hub. Screw that down just a little bit, only enough to you know, keep it from wobbling around too much. All right. Now, I'm going to take your adjustable wrench and slap it on the counter nut, whatever you want to call it, back here, and you're gonna want to undo it, but it's most likely gonna go the other way. Oh, son of a! Ah, we got it. Ah, that's gonna hurt. Shit. Ah. Okay, so we got it undone. That's the most important part. See? It's moving around like that. Okay. Now you take your outer tie rod, undo that nut on top there, like we did the first time, and pop it out. And so now that's loose. Now you've got to be careful at this point, and I'm going to tell you why. This is what they mess with when they make you, when they do the alignments on your car. And the number the number of threads that this thing sits, the length of the threads down on the shaft this thing sits, that's what's important in your alignment. So when you're taking this off, you want to count the number of turns that you do it. So let's say, for example, we're taking it one turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, and you want to do that all the way down. You want to count them. So when you put this thing back on, you can put it on the same number of threads that you took it off, if I'm explaining it right. Whatever. Alright, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 23 is the number for my car, at least anyway. Yours is going to be a little bit different depending on how your system is set up. But anyway, let's get at this whole piece now. This whole piece here. Yeah. Shit. Alright. So you're going to want to take that nut off, the counter nut, because the next step is going to be taking off that rubber boot in the back here. You're going to want that nut out of the way. Okay, next thing to do, you can either take pliers or just use your fingers. There's a clip here on top. You can kind of see it. You got to pull those 2 pins together, squeeze it, and pull it off, just like that. Put it down there to the side. And then you can take the boot, pull it towards you, and you kind of just gotta pull it off just like that. Now be careful with it, you don't want to break anything, of course, but yeah, that's how you do it. Now your tie rod, your inner tie rod is completely exposed and ready to be taken out. Now this is how it looks from last time, because I didn't have exactly the right tools to try it with, but you can see all the ridges here, all those markings on it. I actually used what was it, a plumber's wrench to try and grab onto it and take it out, but I think they used a little bit too much Loctite, and it wouldn't budge. I used a small inner tie rod tool, I used wrenches, I used a plumbing wrench, I used another wrench, I did whatever I could to it, but it didn't want to come out. So now we got this tool over here, the Master Inner Tie Rod Kit, and that's a big mother. I mean, I'm telling you, look at the size of that guy. That's my hand. Jesus, that thing's huge, and no pun intended. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, we're going to use this tool and that guy right here to take that piece of out. And we're finally going to get rid of him. Rights. So after about 10 minutes of around with that tie rod and, you know, sitting there thinking, what the am I going to do? Because this guy, it was a 1 1/4 inch key that goes on the tie rod end. Didn't want to fit because that plastic here was a little bit too I don't know, it protruded out too much, so the key didn't want to fit in between the plastic and the tie rod insert here. And I'll compare it to the other one in a second so you can see the difference. You see, one's a whole lot bigger than the other, and this one, the old one, shit didn't want to fit. But, I mean, holy just look at that. You can look at all the damage. This guy's been through quite a bit. But I'm glad I got him out finally. And in here, that's where the tie rod goes. There was a whole bunch of just filings and shit and crap and gunk and all sorts of shit that was in there, so I kind of took a toothbrush and brushed it out. But that looks to be like some Loctite here, some kind of glue, and it's probably what made it hard for me to take it out in the first place. But yeah, now it's out, so we can put the new one in. Okay, so now we can put the new tie rod in there. And for starters, because the old one had some Loctite or thread lock or whatever, I'm gonna put some of mine on, because you know what? F it. Why not? Just gonna squirt. Ah shit, I gotta pop the cap first. Ah, son of a fuck. Get over here. Come on. There we go. And just a little wee dabby. Where the f am I speaking British? There's something wrong with me. Wait. Something ain't right here. I think the guy's blocked. Yeah. Son of a bastard sealed. Okay, there we go. No more problem. Open her up. Not quite. Nope, never mind. Son of a there we go. Now there shouldn't be any problem. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, just a little bit of that stuff in there. Now we can take the new one. But actually, just blow some of that old crap off. And in she goes. There we go. Ah, somebody's car alarm went off. Ah, okay. So now we got a 1 1/4 inch key. Slap them on there. Beautiful. Now we got the master tool. Goes on right there. We can lock it. I'm gonna take my breaker bar. Ah, there she goes. Beautiful. Just like that, son of a... Ah. Ow. Well, now she's on there, nice and stiff. And we're good. So now we can put everything back together. Now, one thing I didn't mention at the start of this video, when you're taking the boot off, usually they got some clips, some kind of a zap strap or something around the end, and they're a one-time use. And you gotta snip them to take it off. So I'm gonna include it in the beginning, but you're gonna want to find yourself some zap straps or something that you can put on in place of the old ones. So yeah. Just keep your eyes out for that. Alright, so now we can take the boot, stick it back on there. Locks on there, on the tie rod. The rubber end here actually fits into a kind of groove or a channel on the tie rod end here. And then the end of the boot, that goes down in there. But you see what I did is I turned my steering wheel to the right so that this the rack would extend out to the left here, giving me better access to the tie rod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my steering wheel back in the center position, and then I can take those zip ties and get that back over there strapped and locked in place. So back in 1 second. Alright, so it was a little tedious and I couldn't get a good angle with the camera, but I put that zap strap on in the back behind it, and the boot's sitting here nicely. So now you can take that clip again, slide it on, pop it into the channel so it sits there nice and snug. And you can take your counter bolt, counter nut, whatever you want to call it, and screw it on. Come on. And now we take the outer tie rod and screw it on. The same number of turns that you used to take it off. So I took it off in 23 turns. So I'm going to put it on, I'm going to turn it back on 23 times. So, come on. Alright. Okay, so that's back on. 23 turns, and then you're going to want to take your counter nut and tighten it loosely, just loose enough, and you're going to want to take this end, put it back in the wheel hub. So we're going to take the top nut back off, of course. Son of a maneuver that back into position, slip it back in, screw that nut back on there, yeah, just enough. Alright, so now that everything's basically shit, there I go again. Now that everything's put back together, you can take your adjustable wrench, slap it on that counter bolt, and just tighten it. There we go. You don't have to go too crazy, but it's good to have a tight fit. And now you can take the nut on top here. I think it was a 18 or a 19. 19 will do. You can take your ratchet wrench and tighten that up. There we go. Take your 19, slap it on top of there, and you can go ham. Make it nice and tight. You don't have to go too hard on it, and yeah, it's good. So that job's basically done. Shit, there I go again. It's never gonna stop. I swear to God, it's never gonna stop. Oh boy. Okay. Well, that's all together. Outer tie rod, inner tie rod. Job's basically done. There I go again. So now we basically fuck me. Well, that's it. I'm finishing this job. It. Alright, now all we gotta do is take our wheel and slap it right back on here. Line it up and pop those lug bolts back in. And when you're first putting your tire on, God, son of a and stab myself with something. That hurts. Yeah, so I figured out the problem. The problem with my glove was that there was a metal shaving inside, and it stabbed me right in the palm of my hand. So now I'm bleeding a little on the inside, but I'm okay nonetheless. But what I was saying before earlier was when you're first putting your tire back on, when it's up in the air, you don't want to over tighten it. You don't want to tighten it too much, just enough to keep the lug bolts in place. The am I saying, man? Just enough to make the lug bolts tight to keep the whole thing in place so it doesn't wobble. You can spin, of course, because it's up in the air, but make sure it doesn't wobble. So we're good. So now that the whole wheel's back on the ground, doesn't move, then you can take it and lock it and tighten it up nice and good, so that, you know, when you're driving around, your wheel doesn't go flying off the side of the road and you know, make a accident, some shit like that. Because some people are stupid, you know. Ah well, that's life for you, huh? Okay, YouTube, anybody else watching, that's basically so that's the job done. Inner tie rod's been replaced, everything's good to go, and yeah, now you can just get up and drive away. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, really appreciate it. Leave a like, comment, whatever you want to do, maybe even subscribe, I don't know, it's a nice thing to do, I guess. Anyways, if you got any ideas, any opinions, leave them below in the comments section. I'll gladly take a look at them. Alright. See you guys later.